Welcome everyone to Color Me Happy. My name is Brandy Hofer. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being here. It is my honor to have you. Today we chat with Karuna from Synergy Credit Union. I actually brought her on the podcast because I noticed that they were going above and beyond to collaborate with local creatives. It was very inspiring. I'm obviously a painter, a very prolific painter, and so I have a videographer and a few photographer friends actually, because they all help me in different ways, and it's so great. And that week I had seen a few of those people, and they all said they were working with Karuna from Synergy Credit Union. And I'm like, wow, they are just everywhere. What the heck is going on? So I actually also was working with Karuna because they had reached out and asked me to do some digital design for them, and I of course said yes. And um, it just like they're a big, I don't know, what do you call the bank? They're a big bank. uh, yeah, business. I don't know. Someone can just message me and let me know what the word is I'm looking for. I always I always don't know the names of things. That's one of the flaw I have. Here we go. That is my flaw in life. I have a hard time remembering what some things are called, and also people's names. And I make it real awkward. My husband always says, "Yeah, so you didn't introduce me to that person." I was like, I didn't know their name. I know them. I know them. I've seen them lots. We went to this together. I just forgot their name. So cool. Like, you know what? It would have made it more awkward if I had said, "Hey, yeah, so I don't remember your name, even though we did that shoot together. Cool." So, yeah. Um, anyway, Karuna came on and we had a great chat, and I can't wait for you to hear it. And you'll see so much value in the way when someone goes above and beyond to support local business in their community. There. We got the goal light. The goal light is on. Welcome, Karuna, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm always excited to chat with you. Because it's just like it's easy and nice and yeah. So I asked Karuna to come on. We worked together on a project for Synergy Credit Union. They asked me to design a holiday card for them, and it was so much fun. And the reason why I asked you to come on for that is because in that same week, when you approached me about that project, I was getting my artwork photographed, and we were doing some videography for one of my courses, and you had also been working with all these local creatives as well, and you had reached out through Synergy, and I just was like, wow, that is so fantastic for our community, for you guys to, have that initiative. So I really wanted to have you on because I think it'll just set a wonderful example for, everyone to collaborate and, support those small businesses, because it can make or break a small business's year, or, make just a huge difference. Like it really, really does. So if we can just see more of that, I'm so excited. Yeah. So that was the reason why I had initially asked you to come on. And then I just also wanted to talk to you about your journey and just like as a female, kind of killing it in our community, and how it all happened. Yeah. So I'll let you talk now.
Okay. No, thank you for the introduction. That was amazing. So I guess if we want to start early life,
I do. Okay, because you're not from Lloydminster, and
no.
I only know that because I am. And
and we don't know each other from high school.
No, we don't. Yeah, exactly. Just gonna have a podcast, and I'm gonna have my high school friends on. No, that is not what we do here. Yeah. So you're from Toronto, right?
Yeah. So I was born in New Delhi and I come from immigrant parents and we immigrated to Canada in the late 80s and we settled in Scarborough, Ontario, which is now considered Toronto when they amalgamated and became this whole GTA and the surrounding areas. And so, which is kind of cool because my daughter is going to be first generation Canadian now, or
Oh
is, not
wow.
that she's
Yeah.
going to be, she's
Yeah. Oh
here.
yeah. She's currently
So,
doing it.
yeah, so yeah, I'm not sure if you're very familiar with Toronto or Scarborough, but Toronto's considered like a city within a park. And so I grew up in like so many like a beautiful neighborhood filled with schools and diversity. There were a lot of amenities and so many walking and hiking trails and parks.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so actually, from where we lived, you could bike through all these different parks that connect to each other and get down to the waterfront. And you can bike along the waterfront and weave in and out some neighborhood streets and hit downtown. So, growing up, it would be so much fun to be able to either just do like park trips or if we were really ambitious, pack a bag and go biking down to the lake and have like a picnic and stuff like that. And then as I grew older, I just really enjoyed walking downtown and or midtown, I guess it would be, through the cafes and having brunch with my friends. So it was just really wholesome and
Yeah,
not
no kidding. That's like a picturesque sort of upbringing in, when you think of, big city or whatever, it probably didn't
yeah.
feel that way for you.
And I think most people perceive like Toronto as this urban jungle and they don't realize how much nature and greenery there is within like the different cores of the communities. So it's really nice to be able to explore that because for living there as long as I did, I still didn't know different like hidden gems and stuff like that. And it's until you start playing tour guide to people who don't live in the city, you're like, oh, what about this place or what about that
Yeah.
place?
No,
So
it does have some special spaces. I was there in 2018 and I just yeah, the way you describe it is really nice because I'm just like I couldn't imagine because I was only in the like central downtown
yeah.
mostly area and I was just like I couldn't imagine raising a family here. And I also sorry, I stayed on the island too.
Oh
Which
wow,
I stayed on the island for over a month in a residency.
that's amazing.
So it was, except there was nothing on the island except for like a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like not even a store, I don't think. Yeah, there's not. It's a strange thing they have going on there. And yeah, so you had to like ferry in if you wanted food.
Yeah, no, that's
Like
I know exactly your setup. And for us, it was like a day trip. Oh, let's bike around the island, take our
yeah,
bikes there, but we go home. So we always thought that the homes there were so picturesque and the beaches there were so beautiful, but like I never really considered living on that island because it wasn't like a full
it's
service
not
place.
convenient. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
convenient because there's some crazy rules about it, right? Like it's super strange when you hear actually, so I had some family friends here had married one of the women who was raised on the island,
Oh, cool.
and it's quite a interesting thing what is happening and to see it from their perspective, right?
Right.
Like because I think you can only have a home if like a generation before like own like you can't buy
Yeah.
property there. It's
It has
super
to be
strange.
handed down to you, I
Yes,
believe.
yes,
Yes.
something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And so when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, so I see that you did this residency. Would you recommend it?" I was like, "It's good.
It's
Good.
different.
It's good. If you want anything, you have to leave, and it's super inconvenient."
Yeah. Once you're on the other side of the island and you're on the mainland, then you're golden. But
Yeah, I just be like, like I can't miss this time where I'm stuck in Toronto because I
yeah,
can't get back to my sleeping quarters.
yeah,
So
because it's
like,
not a 24-hour ferry. It has,
no, no, it was so yeah. I mean, if you're going, I mean, that's what kind of residencies are for to like for some people, especially like with writing, to like find a remote destination where you have no distractions. But I like to have the quick access to things, and that's growing up in Lloydminster. You're like, if I can't get anywhere in 7 to 10 minutes, this is garbage.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah,
That was
it's
an
so
adjustment
convenient.
for me coming here. I was like, "Okay, I'm ready, let's go." And my partner would be like, "So we're not leaving for another hour." And like my sense of time versus distance took me a while to adjust because I didn't really have a far commute. So I didn't have to get it ready like over an hour before I needed to actually leave because we were only leaving 15 minutes beforehand. And that
Exactly. It's
was just
great.
great.
It's a great way to live. And I definitely missed it when I didn't, when I lived in Halifax and I had to take like a bus for an hour and a half to the other side, another place with an island thing happening. Not an island, but a body of water you had to cross. Yeah, so it's hard to adjust to those things. So did you go to university or did you take any schooling like after, you grew up in Toronto?
Yeah, so actually, before university, through my high school, I went to a specialized art school.
Oh,
And
cool.
so it focused in fine arts as well as musical and dramatical theater. And so for me, in grade 8, high school there starts in grade 9, I submitted a portfolio of some concept drawings and what I loved, which was pretty much a whole portfolio of horses.
That's
And
great.
I applied because the school was not in my area, and so you can't just go to different schools that aren't your home school per se.
Yeah.
And so I applied and I got in. And so the school was geared towards different kinds of fine arts. So I would take all my mandatory courses, and instead of choosing electives like home ec or wood shop or mechanics, for example, I took only art
The
classes.
big array of, yeah, you just named them. It's an outdated system a little bit, I have to say, because like those aren't our only options
Yeah, I know,
anymore.
but that's what it was.
But that's nice in like a larger center that you have that outlet. And so what inspired you like growing up to, like pursue the arts at a young age?
Right.
Because yeah, we don't always have that opportunity or even that wherewithal as a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old
Yeah.
to know that that's what you're into, right?
Right. No, so I knew what I didn't want to do, and it kind of
Math.
helped a
No, I'm
little
just
bit.
kidding. Math. I
Pardon?
hate math.
Yeah,
Math.
it
I
was
hate math.
exactly
I
that.
don't want to do math. I definitely will
It was
avoid it.
exactly that.
Diane Burbank.
Yeah.
But not in the lady
Math
thing.
and science were not my jam, and it was just a constant battle. And I'm really fortunate. Like, so my background descent is South Asians, and stereotypically, there's a lot of like preference for focused professions like lawyers, engineers, doctors, dentists. And I was really blessed to have a family who's very supportive in the arts. And my mom is very musical, and she is into the arts as well. And so when it was starting to be recognized that it was a constant battle for math and science, it was like, well, what else do you have interest in? And I really like drawing. So my family really supported me in different aspects when it came to like putting me into art camp or like the high school that I was able to go to and develop those skills. So from there, I continued to pursue it that way. And so,
Oh, it's so important for
yeah.
parents to, you know, see and recognize that in their children that, you really can't force someone to be something they're not. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
not
like
their
setting
forte.
them up for a lifetime of kind of, hard times. And
Yeah.
And yeah, like my one son was like, I like math. I was like, cool. I can't
We can
help
do
you.
it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. We'll see what we can do with that. But and then my other son, I just like was wiping all the paint off his clothes because he ruined clothes yesterday, and I was like, dude, I like that you could love to paint, but like Teddy needs these after you. So, and this is your brother. So you're actually
Oh,
you're ruining it for yourself. And like he's paint covered all the
oh,
time. So
wow.
like it's easy to see. And
Where to start
my
getting
friend Kim, who's super creative and like super musical, he does all. A lot of people know him locally at Nara Studios,
yeah.
but he's like secretly musical, but not so secret anymore. He's the voice of an angel.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, and he's like, I want my kids to be really musical. I was like, well, do you have any instruments, sir? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, you should probably like. And he found a used piano like 3 days later, and like you have to like have. He's like, I love how you create with your kids, and it's so open
Yeah.
for them. And I was like, well, you have to have like the
The
stuff
tools
there. The
available. Yeah.
tools. The
Yeah.
tools are so important. I talk about that all the time, especially in my course with creating with kids. Like they love sensory, they love anything, and you just have to have it ready and presented for them. So that's so lovely that your parents, you know, yeah, were there for you in that way and didn't push you. Because I also have another local friend here, and she's an artist, and her parents pushed her to be a lawyer, and so then she's got a law degree, and then she's like, yeah, and then her first maternity leave, she's just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Oh,
And she's
wow.
a painter, and she's really into art licensing, and she's very successful at it. Like, so art licensing, for the creatives who don't know, is like, greeting cards and posters and like stuff that's reproduced, like the shit on your agenda and like the designs there, not shit, nice stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we creatives make these things, like, and then people pay you to make them. So art licensing is a good biz to be in. Um, and yeah, so it's, like people are gonna travel that path no matter what. Like, hopefully they find it, but they'll find their way there, even if they're forced to, be being forced to be a doctor would be really sad. That's a long time. It's a long time to get that one.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you want to commit to something like that too, right? So you invest a lot of money and you want to be happy with what you're going to do. Like, it's fine to change careers partway through, but that's your choice, not someone else making those decisions for you. And I think that's huge. When I was 18, so I'd taken a course at Sheridan College, and at the end of that course, I was still not 100% sure what I wanted to do. And my dad was living overseas, actually in Nepal. And so my mom's like, why don't you go live with him for a little bit? And so I moved to Nepal. Yeah, I lived there for 4 months, and he hooked me up with an advertising agency as an intern at 18 years old. And oh my goodness, Brandy, it was such an experience. And I would wish that upon anyone who wants to pursue something like that, just to be able to travel and experience a different country, as well as just being able to learn from a different group of people. And I'm still friends with these people today, and we still talk, and they ask how I'm doing, and it's just so nice. Yeah.
I think travel is so key to self-discovery as well.
I agree.
You learn a lot about yourself, especially as a young adult, right? I still think, like, when you think back to yourself at 18 or to 25, like, you're just like, I just think what a baby I still was. Like, you're so little still. And it's just like, I mean, that was 10, 15 years ago, but for me, but you just don't know about, I just think it's so important to find the world, and I think along that path, you really discover yourself along the way. And I think too, doing it alone is important. I don't know if you've ever traveled alone beyond that, but traveling alone, it's a scary thing, but it's really, I would recommend it to anyone. Just because it's a great way to connect with other people. Because if you think about this, like, if you go to a restaurant and you're meeting another person, you're just going to talk to that other person. But if you go somewhere independently, you're more likely to engage with your server and get chatting with them, or, engage with someone across it's just like a really cool experience. And I got the experience to do it in Montreal, and then again in outside of Paris. And it was just like, it's very cool. And now I'm never afraid to go anywhere alone. Like, I love dining alone or to the movies. And now I'm like, please let me go anywhere alone.
You break down that stigma of doing things alone, that you're lonely when you're not, right?
Yeah, it's like a chance to just like reconnect to yourself for a second. Yeah. And it's so great. Okay, so you came back and from Nepal, and then what did you do?
So then I enrolled in a graphic design media program, and that's where I learned more of the digital aspect. So up until then, it was way more fine arts, and then it transitioned into more digital based illustration and typography and web design and photography and all of those skills. And so that made it more well-rounded in the design world. And so that's definitely helped me since then to have that fine balance between the fine arts as well as digital capability.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so,
especially like career options
yeah,
wise. Like I know I'm not saying that just because you go to art school or you're an artist, like you should be an illustrator. By no means, but in terms of options, if you want to work somewhere with like a salary and not just have like,
yeah,
and those things weren't really there when I went to art school. Like they just didn't teach you. I'm sure that it's a lot more well-rounded now, but they were just like, let's paint. Like
yes,
this teaches me nothing about like what like not even, and I'm sure it's changed, like I'm sure it's changed, but even how to like document and save the correct
file
files.
formats.
Yes, like
Yeah,
those are all things I had to learn, and I'm still learning because it
yeah,
always things change. But I'm still learning in my practice 15 years later, and it's just like really frustrating that I had to take that long. And you know, you pay for an education,
yeah.
so you made a lot of smart moves.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Honestly, if it like I commend my parents honestly because if it hadn't been for them being supportive to go or to do these things and be like, you know what, you have potential here, and there's so many avenues that could develop from this, I wouldn't have known any better. And like you said, in school, we learned up to a certain amount, but there were still aspects of it that were missing that probably are more intertwined today for up and coming artists. And
Mm-hmm.
just the people in my class, you could see where their interest lay, where it was more web design and gaming focused, or was it more illustration or animation? And everyone took a different path, but we all have the versatility in the programs to be able to apply them. And I am now working at a credit union in the marketing department, being able to do a lot of graphics and design and applying those skills
Mm-hmm.
aside from my administrative roles that I have with the small
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
So.
And then I know you ended up in Saskatoon at one point too, right?
Yep. So, as a budding artist, it was definitely a challenge in Toronto to break into the industry. And so I worked with a lot of startup companies in their graphics role, but I also worked a lot of jobs that weren't related to the profession. And like most who invest in their education, they really want to pursue that role or interest that they went down. And I was just not catching that break.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided
Yeah,
to,
just more creatives per capita, really,
yeah,
when it comes down to it.
yeah. And like just the experience level is just so competitive and everyone's applying. And I'm sure we're all amazing. So it's not easy for them to choose as well. And so I decided to expand my search and I had an opportunity come up in Saskatoon. And that was another thing. I spoke to my family and I was like, what do you think? I'm like packing up and leaving. And I pretty much gave 2 weeks notice.
Oh, wow.
They're like, so can you start in 2 weeks? And I was like, okay, friend, will you take over my lease?
Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah, and I packed up my apartment and I moved out here. And this was the beginning of June 2014, excuse me. And yeah, that was such a great experience. I knew two people when I moved into Saskatoon. They were originally from Toronto and I had worked with them. But
We were
it
like,
was,
come out here. No one's over here.
yeah. So
Don't
that
have
was
trouble
the
getting a
most
job.
reassuring thing.
Yeah.
But everyone else are new friends. Like I made new friends and I still talk to them as well. I don't talk to them frequently, but they're definitely people I would reach out to if I was ever in town and be like, hey, I'm coming. Are you free for a coffee? So those connections are always great to have. And then while I was in Saskatoon, I had met my now husband. And so then he told me about Lloydminster. And he told me it was in Saskatchewan. And every time I searched Google and it was coming up as Alberta, and I was
This
a
guy's a
little,
liar.
yeah, you're not telling some truths here.
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
actually, so we have a weird connection that way
yeah,
because Lloyd is a small place. So your husband, he immigrated to Canada.
Yes, he did.
And I remember when he did, and he came to Lloydminster, and I remember him, poor guy, coming to our high school and just like such a, it just has like such a small town feel, and it's hard to make friends. And I just remember, he must have been kind of lonely, but
Yeah.
like he was outgoing and friendly, and but it just must have been a hard transition at what, 16, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. But he said that joining the local football team was so like
He made a
helpful
lot
for
of
him,
friends.
and
Yeah.
that's how his social circle grew. And from there, he made connections and friends, and he
I'll play a sport and they'll accept me.
yeah, yeah, and he's not the exchange student. He came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so no, he's quite happy here, and he considers himself a local at this time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's so it is a weird connection for sure. But yeah, so did you guys met in Saskatoon and then decide to move
No,
back here, or
we met on a dating profile, and
cool?
yes, and so that had worked out that way. I had no concept of like 200-kilometer radius, so apparently that is Lloyd.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I've talked about this on my podcast before, but like how, because I never got to do online dating. It wasn't quite it was, but it wasn't like an app. There weren't like apps for that, you know, 17 years ago. I don't like saying time anymore. I'm like, oh, it's getting older. There weren't apps for, you still were
Yeah.
organically meeting people. Anyway, so yeah, my sister-in-law did come home from Toronto, and I don't know. Yeah, so we sat on Tinder,
Oh,
Toronto for 4 hours. We're like, oh my
oh
gosh,
my
it's like,
goodness.
look at these well-dressed hotties. Like, what is going on? And then we switched it to Lloydminster, and like we were just crying because we were laughing so hard.
Oh boy. I've never been on Tinder, so I'm not overly
It was like
familiar.
so special. Like,
It's so special.
just the difference, like it was the polar opposite experience. Like in Toronto, it was just like, you know, people on the street or in a park in like a nice coat and a scarf, or anything but a dirty truck and a gun, or a dead animal that they have shot with the gun. Not even like a shot of themselves, just like
The animal.
objects. Me like hunting and fishing, and done. That will rope the ladies in, and easy. But we were just dying. It's such a weird experience. But yeah, lucky you got lucky, and got a normal person on. I'm sure it's different now, and people have like because that was years ago too, right? That was like 8 years ago. People know how to set up a digital profile to be appealing because there's like rules and things that have changed. Yeah. So okay, let's move on. Sorry.
No, it's all
my
good.
like get off track. My camera always likes to give a little just like surprise. I'm gonna stop working.
Oh.
Partway in. Okay. Yeah. So focus. Okay, back to Lloydminster, the community, and your role. I love what you're doing. So you came back here, and now you guys, you have a beautiful little girl. So you've experienced motherhood and
Yes.
and balancing all that.
No, she's amazing. She's so inquisitive, and she has such a big heart. She loves animals, so we have to go for drives and look at all the animals just outside of town. And there's a local farm that has a few donkeys, and we're pretty committed to saying hi to them whenever we can.
Donkeys at Lower Shannon?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So she's in love with. She's 4.
She will be.
She will be 4
early next year. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so great. Yeah, the donkeys are super cute, and we love going out there and just getting like fresh eggs, or we're lucky that way.
That's us
And of
too.
course, like everything they do is amazing, and just like fresh greens. Like when you eat their greens, you can't go back to regular smelly grocery store
I
greens.
agree. I love their tomatoes, and
Oh
like, we can
yeah,
eat a pint of tomatoes in like a day and a bit, and I don't know if that's actually good for you or not, but
whatever.
we're doing it.
Yeah.
So,
No, it is. It's so we're so lucky, especially because like winters are so cold for them to like run a greenhouse and stuff. It's pretty miraculous. Um, yeah. So your daughter and like how it's going through like transitioning, working at home and like balancing parenthood in the last couple of years.
so actually, I took an 18-month mat leave. So
Nice.
I was really fortunate with Synergy to be so supportive of that family and work life balance. And I know they worked really hard to make that happen because it came about very close to when I was due. And I'm so grateful for that time I was able to get with my daughter. I hit all her milestones being able to be at home, and so that was huge. And now she goes to day home full time. So even though I work from home, she does not stay at home. We drop
Yeah,
her to
it's
daycare.
impossible. It
Yeah.
really is. It's very tough.
Yeah.
I know because I'm doing it,
Yeah,
but
you're
like
amazing. Like, congratulations. Like,
no, so
kudos to
I
you.
don't have good days a lot of it. They're good, but it's just like very chaotic and like it's unrealistic for most jobs. Like um it's okay sometimes when like so a baby wanders in my background or whatever, which did happen this morning in a meeting. But I think like which probably shouldn't have. My dad was here helping, but like normally in like a job where you have to like be present during a meeting, like that is not acceptable. Like um and yeah, it's a tough ticket to balance. And I can't say that I wasn't like a little, I don't know what the correct wording is, like gloaty. Like it felt a little bit good when people are all got stuck at home for a second and you were like,
Now you know how I feel, kind
yes,
of thing, right?
this
Yeah,
is hard.
it
See,
is
I'm
hard.
not just like knitting on the couch or like resting and watching soaps. Like I am crying in the laundry room, actually.
And I
So
think that's the reality. Like, when working families experience that, it gave them a reality check and new appreciation for stay-at-home moms who have small businesses or entrepreneurships, and how they juggle everything, life, like life, mom, like wife, partner,
yeah, yeah. No,
whatever, the
parenting,
house.
yeah, just parenting at home in general.
Yeah,
But I chose it. Like I think it's so important to, yeah, see those milestones and not miss it, because it really does, as hard as it is and as difficult, it does really go by so
it does.
quickly. Like just like even the connection of like if you're able to nurse or have that experience. Like I know right now the age that Teddy's at, um like I'm gonna have to stop soon and I know I'm gonna miss it so much. Like I treat it like a meditation almost.
Yeah,
It's like I sit in the dark with a sound machine with a child and it's nursing. And when,
I can
I don't know
relate
how
to
many
that.
people, yeah,
Yeah.
nurse, but like there's a hormone that's released
Yes.
that relaxes everyone. Like, so it's really hard to not have a nap after. But
No, I can very much relate to this. I nursed past a year, and I had some comments made, and it didn't phase me because I felt like it was important to her, and I knew this was just my opportunity to bond with her. Excuse me, my opportunity to bond with her, and it wasn't going to be forever. She's going to grow out of this and she's going to move on, and if I can provide that extra nourishment for as long as I could. And I was so fortunate to be able to nurse. I know a lot of friends who struggled, and
mhm.
there was a lot of mom guilt there, and there's no shame if you have to turn to a bottle or if you have to pump or whatever your situation is. Like, fed is best, right? So
Yeah, yeah, and like there are perks to bottles too, like because then the child isn't, you're not, they're not solely dependent
yeah,
on you, like at 2 and 4 and 6
yeah,
and 1 a.m. Like there are perks of like you can kick someone else to get the bottle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did nurse all three, and it is, but like a conscious decision, um, even though it's exhausting, again, to have that because so many people would have if they could have, and
Yeah.
you have to really, uh, not take those moments for granted. And I know I'm having a surgery, so I have to in December, and I have to take medication. So I'm like antibiotics to heal. I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm gonna have to stop. Like it's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's
like
a
a
tough.
forced stop, which he's 2.5. So people will be like, oh, that's so long. He can ask for it. And I'm like, yes, he can. But he doesn't want to. So it's just like, I don't even know if there's anything left, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what he's getting anymore, but it's just like that really special, special, special connection. So, yeah, so I'm a little sad about that, but it's just the way like time and life is, and you really have to cherish the moments because it's probably once a week. People are like, you're gonna miss that, really, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the midst of the chaos and 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 all that stuff, but in the throes of parenthood. But I talk about it all the time. Just I know that I need to just like sit back, take a breath, and take it all in, even though it's gross in my house.
Yeah, it's not gonna last. And that's what I tell myself when I'm struggling or we have these moments of challenges. It's like it's temporary. There'll be a new challenge. So this one's gonna be minor in respect to the next one, maybe. And
Yeah. When you think of 16 and driving, you're just like,
yeah.
it's gonna be a tough one, really tough,
Yeah.
right? Or if like 3 years later, if like I think traveling is important, so I'm probably going to use the money I save to like tell my children they should travel, but like I just maybe we'll go together
Yeah.
at first trips together. My mom is here. I'm trying to party, but my mom came. Like in Europe, I'll be like, yeah, I
Cool.
would.
We're so
I
cool.
would go clubbing. I love dancing.
I remember traveling a
The
lot with
worst
my mom. It
mom
was
ever. Or the best. I
oh
don't know.
yes.
The toss up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember traveling with your mom?
I do. We traveled a lot around Europe and then
Cool.
South Asia. We went to different countries there, but it was a mix of seeing family and doing some touristy stuff. And I just remember being on those trains in Amsterdam or like visiting family in London, England. And so it's
Wow.
memories that you keep, and like looking back on those photos, they kind of rekindle those moments. So I might not remember them immediately, but seeing a photo triggers that memory. And it's always nice to be like, oh, I hope I can give my daughter that opportunity, which with our family all over the place, she's guaranteed to be
Yeah.
traveling. We did a
Yeah,
lot
that's
over
super
mat leave.
cool. It won't be such a like uh it'll be a natural thing because you're like, well, we're just going to see my aunt.
Yeah.
And or yeah, it'll be really a big part of her life probably,
Yeah, I think it will be
like a
very
regular.
normalized for
Yeah,
sure.
cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I definitely don't have any family that I can think of that aren't, accessible by car. Really. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's such a neat thing to have that. And because like it's probably not going to be hard too because you have one daughter. I just
Yeah.
thought I'm like, I really wanted a girl for that reason alone, is that friendship later in life. And if you like each other, hopefully, right?
I hope
But
so.
the
So far,
connection
so
later in
good.
life, like a travel partner. But
Yeah.
maybe one of my sons will not be like embarrassed by me. And I was hoping, I'm like, maybe we can just like, get hired for like a mural overseas or something. And like, I'll paint a mural in like Spain, and they'll come along, or, life. That could happen. That's a real thing that could happen to me.
Oh,
I
for
had a
sure.
mural meeting this morning. You just gotta like keep expanding them.
I think if you were able to even
To Amsterdam.
yes, that would be amazing. I think if
Yeah.
you were able to even do solo trips with each of them and make that
Mm.
some sort of a norm, so those experiences are there, so then as they're getting older, then they'll be like, "Oh, so where are we going this year?" Or and that that would change their perspective. And it's not like, oh, I'm going on a trip with my mom. It's just like, where are we going and what are we seeing, and choosing those destinations. I remember going to Sri Lanka and we were seeing some family, and the one thing I had looked up was this elephant orphanage. And I was like, I want to go there. And my mom's like, okay, we're there for like 4 days. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
And this trip was like, we had to leave at 6 a.m, and it was really not that far, maybe 60 to 70 kilometers away. And it took us 3 hours. It was insane, up these like mountain roads that were single lane. And you're just like looking over this cliff and you're like, this truck is going to make it. This house is going to be good.
It looked good on paper and then on computer, and it's not in real life practice the worst.
Yeah, Google says it's not that far. It was a whole trip, but it was such an amazing experience. It was to see all those elephants that were rescued from the jungles in northern Sri Lanka, to have this sanctuary. It was just beautiful. So
I actually did a jungle trek in Thailand with the same thing, to an ending in an elephant sanctuary. But like, they don't tell you about all the leeches, the tiny leeches that can sneak in through your shoes. So you take off your shoes and you're like, ah!
Whoa.
Like, they're like, so and he's like, I'll just burn them off your feet. I was like, what? Burn them? Why do you have that? Like, what's going on? I ended up actually getting dengue fever in that jungle.
Oh boy.
The worst. Yeah. So and they just like recently developed a vaccination for
I was just gonna say,
fever.
isn't there a vaccination
now?
Yeah.
Because if I get it twice, like, I can die. So you're like, you get blood poisoning or something, and I just have stress eczema. I'm just scratching and I'm like, off I go. Now it's like in Mexico and stuff, so I can't like go to any place without like double checking, like, can I get dengue fever here? Because it won't be worth it. But now, there's a vaccine only for people who have already had it. Okay. But it's like a huge issue. Anyways, we won't get into it, but it's like, for villages and stuff, like where there's jungle and swamp and mosquitoes around it, like, and if you get it twice, you die or could die quite easily. So it's just like, what we have mosquitoes here, but I'm pretty sure
they're not the same
thing going on. Hopefully that doesn't come here.
I remember.
I don't think it can in Canada with the like deep freezes through the winter.
Yeah, I don't think they're sustainable here, like the way they are in southern climates.
Like a blood virus. Yeah, because like they'd have to like continually. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works. I'm no scientist, and nor do I want to be, like we spoke about earlier.
Not your wheelhouse.
Just hopefully it doesn't come here. Yeah, I should probably get vaccinated for that. Weird thing to come home from the jungle with. It was terrible. They call it the bone breaking virus.
Oh,
and wow. It hurt so bad. Like, I just remember my pillow felt like a rock. Like, that's how much my body hurt. Like, oh, wow. Like a pillow felt like my skull was going to break on it. Like, it was so strange. I have a weird thing with traveling. Like, I always catch whatever's going on in the villages. Okay.
We can talk about this all day, Brandy. We can talk about travel as a topic.
Good. I didn't know you were so well traveled. That's so cool. Yeah. But you're back here and you're making big changes in our community. Yes. And impacting it in such a big way. Fierce female doing, so I just, I think definitely like it's just like contagious. It's contagious when because you guys, this is a conscious effort that you are putting in your branch, right?
Yeah. So marketing is a part of the administration department that assists in managing all 11 branches. So what we do in Lloydminster, we would do all the way down to Kindersley and all the way up to St. Walburg. And so my team and I were talking about how can we bring more community aspects into our gifts. We work with a local supplier to source a lot of our Synergy swag, as we'd like to call it, where it's our ball caps and our mugs. But there was just an aspect feeling missing where there's so many great small businesses in our communities, not specific to Lloyd, but all these different areas. And they have unique products, and some of them we have business relationships with, and some of them we don't. And just bringing that to our members and sometimes the public in different aspects with its random act of kindness or different appreciation events, it's just so nice. So not only are we supporting a local business to keep them sustained, but we're also getting their name out there and maybe bringing back future customers that had never heard of them or they really like their product. And so I've met a lot of new people because I'm not from Lloyd. I'm not very familiar with everyone and everything. And so being in this position has given me that opportunity to interact with the community in a way that I wouldn't have done maybe just on a personal level. And so I've definitely made some great business relationships as well as some friends from this experience. And I'm really fortunate to have been in the position to do this and the support from Synergy to be able to do it. And so I'm really excited what this holiday is going to bring, as well as like future endeavors. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you. That is so special. And like I said earlier, it really does make a difference in a small businesses like year end and having exposure and word of mouth, of course, is always the best way,
Yeah.
right? So when you have that amount of exposure that you're giving people and allowing that opportunity, um, for them to get that, yeah, it's just amazing. So thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was so great learning more about you, and it's such a pleasure to chat with you and everything. And yeah, I'm the worst at signing out, but yeah, it's so neat to hear about your journeys and what brought you here. And yeah, I'm excited to learn more actually. We'll
Yeah.
have to go
Maybe
for coffee.
I was going to just say we need to meet up for coffee and talk about travel some more.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
No,
Okay, thanks for coming on.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so of course, it is so important to support small businesses. Like we said in the episode, you can make or break someone's year if you're that huge and it's such an impact, and it's great to spread that around. It is so important, and if they're setting this example for others to do it as well, I just think that's so beautiful. And I'm really grateful for them, and I'm grateful that they are making such an effort to do so, and hopefully they inspire some other businesses. Even if you're a small business, just supporting your friends and your community, it really does make all the difference. I have my own arts bursary, and it's not very much money, but I do it yearly, and it's called the Brandy Hofer Arts Bursary. I started it, um, I don't know, like 10 years ago, and it's for people to pursue their study in arts, like anything, music, photography, whatever they're interested in, and for people with developmental disabilities. And my mom worked with the B. Fisher Center here locally in Lloydminster for, I think, over 20 years. So it's a really close thing to my heart. And like I said, it's not very much, but it sure makes a difference in someone's life every year. And for me, it's just one of the most beautiful things I can do. So, and it helps me hold on to my mom's memory. And, one of the things that was so important to her in her life. Um, yeah. So do things that you're passionate about and help in any way you can, because just the smallest can impact someone's life. Yes, well, it's getting close to the holidays, and I hope you are all taking it easy, because we are supposed to enjoy ourselves and our families. And maybe this year we'll get to, I know we get to see my brother this year, and that's very special. And I said no to some things, and I don't know why I'm getting so emotional right now. Um, my friend Verna's like, you gotta stop making me cry. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Um, yeah, I said no to a lot of things because I have pushed myself for a few years now, and it wasn't fair to my children or my family or myself. And I'm really enjoying the fact that they still believe in magic, which is so cool and it blows my mind. And I talk about it all in our next episode that will release right before the holiday break. It's so neat. Um, you can catch our winter collection. We have a gallery, and I just opened it this year, and I know it's not normal for a solo artist to host other people on their site, but I believe in, first of all, being, I know I'm not like everyone else. And I know I'm a mother and a creative, and I am multifaceted, and that's just me. I'm just following my own path, and I'm really proud to do so. I know I don't fit a mold, and the fact that we have this gallery, it's so special because I get to support other female artists, emerging artists, and give them a platform that maybe they don't have. And this is important to me because I wish someone had taken a chance on me earlier on in my career, because I try and I push so hard. And this is not an easy path. So the more that we lift one another up and collaborate above competition, just the better off we all will be. So no, it's not normal for a solo artist to have other artwork through her website, but I do, and I'm enjoying it, and I have made so many beautiful friends, and I've seen some of my older collectors invest in these new pieces, and it's so great. And it gives that confidence to these emerging artists. I actually came out of a meeting with someone who I hoped would be a good fit for my brand and my journey. And it was the complete opposite, in fact. Um, and I will be releasing this podcast called I Am Pissed Off in January. Uh, I will release it then because I want to keep the holiday cheer going, and my next episode is very cute and magical. Um, and we will reconvene in the new year after that episode because I really want to talk about this subject. I am an artist and a mother, and I can do both. And recently I was told that I couldn't. I'm very passionate, and I know a lot of passionate people who are fighting this fight. It is a fight. There is a lot of equality in my world. Females are grossly unrepresented. Anyway, I don't want to get too into it because I actually have already recorded the podcast episode, and um, I want to really talk about this and start a conversation. So please message me anytime. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. If you'd like to be on, please let me know. My email is art@brandyhofer.ca, or you can just message me on Instagram or anywhere at Brandy Hofer Studios. We have a call for art. It's called Like a Mother. And it's so perfect because I'm so mad right now that this person has lit a giant sized bonfire under my butt, and I am mad. So I think it's just really perfect that I'm also collaborating with Erica B. Hess from I Like Your Work podcast, another mother, female, freaking badass artist from the US, and she will be the guest juror for this call for art, and it's going to be extraordinary. and I want you to be a part of it. You can check that out at brandyhofer.ca under BHA Gallery Call for Art. And okay, do it. Will I ever say goodbye? One will never know. We'll just stay here together forever. No, I appreciate your time. We'll chat again soon, and please tune in next week or the next week after to our holiday or something magic. I don't know what I'm calling it. I do all the editing and naming and descriptions, clearly, because you'll find some fuck ups in there from time to time. Um, so, yeah, bye.